Hi, I'm Pamela, and welcome to Green Stick Cottage, where I knit, crochet, and do other yarny things whenever the cats allow me to. Today I'm going to show what progress I've made since last time. It's not a whole lot, but I'm going to start with the octopus hat, which has been my focus. I guess you would call it my focus piece, because I make sure to work on that first every day, because it does have a deadline since it is for my grandson for his birthday, and so it's got to be mailed out by a certain time, hopefully August 4th. And so I can't remember where I left off last time, so I'm just going to start. I put the two hats together. I'll link to these patterns. It's two hat patterns. So here's the first one that my hands are in, and I think that's called the Basic Half Double Crochet Beanie by Umbaka Designs. And this one is rosy shells, I think, that makes the back of the octopus's head. I can't remember the designer of that, but I'll include it in the description box. And then I added the eyes, and these were this was the hardest part for me, because I've never done anything like this, and so like embroidering the pupil on here and trying to get that in a somewhat kind of diamond shape, like slit pupils, and I made the balls here that are the eyeballs, and then you make the eyelid, and you got to sew that to the eyeball and to the top of the hat. So he has his eyeballs now. And then what I've been working on lately is the tentacles. So I have, and the tentacles are in two parts. So I have 3, 4, let's see, try to get them all facing the same way, 5, 6, yes, good. I have all 8 of the tentacles here, and these are the outside of the tentacles. So I actually have to make 16 pieces to make the 8 tentacles. So these are the outside of the tentacles that are orange, like the head of the octopus. And these will be attached. Starting from the side of the forehead, and then it'll go all the way around. They'll go all the way around. And so I've got all 8 of the outside of the tentacles done, and I have 4 of the inside of the tentacles. So, and these are a little more interesting because they have the popcorns on them, and these are the underside of the tentacles. So I'm halfway through the underside ones, and so these will be sewn to the hat, and then joined together when you do a border all the way around each tentacle and around the hat itself. So I'm getting closer to the end, and I'm really excited to see how it's going to look. But I know he will get such a kick out of having all those tentacles hanging down and the big bulbous back of the octopus head, and I know he just, and his favorite color is orange. So, but I decided to do the underside in gray, and so we'll see how that turns out. And so that is the octopus hat progress. And now I was going to say so next is my Lizzie blanket, which is designed by Anya at Ophelia Talks. And I started this as a crochet along with Roaming with Rover, Robin at Roaming with Rover. And the inspiration for the Lizzie blanket design, Anya saw all she wanted the colors from the Pride and Prejudice movie. And so that's how the design was born for the Lizzie blanket. And when Robin is doing the crochet along, she's reading Pride and Prejudice. And so I've been listening to Pride and Prejudice. I also listened to Northanger Abbey during Jane Austen July, which is a booktube event. So it's while I'm listening to Jane Austen's works, I'm also reading Jane Austen's Juvenilia, and I'm listening to a lecture series from Audible in the Great Courses series that they have, and it is an Arizona State University professor, Devaney Lucer, and that great course is called The Life and Works of Jane Austen. So I'm also listening to that. So while I'm listening to all this Jane Austen lovely information and novels, I am working on the Lizzie blanket still, and I'll put in a anyway, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, sorry, let me slow down. Lizzie was residing in what I'm calling my Grand Canyon bag. And I love this bag because I love this picture of the Grand Canyon. So this is kind of a preview of a coming attraction later in the video. But Lizzie was stuffed into this bag, which isn't very big. It was getting harder and harder to stuff her in there. So now she resides in this bigger bag. And I think those are Monstera plants, Monstera. I think of them as monster, but anyway, I think it's such a pretty bag. So this is a bigger bag. She fits in there a lot more comfortably because I will put a picture up here of the whole blanket because I can't show the whole blanket in this smaller space. But I finished the kitty portion. So the way the Lizzie blanket is set up, it's 5 sections representative of the 5 Bennet daughters in Pride and Prejudice. So the first section was Jane, the second section was Elizabeth, the third section was Mary, and the fourth section was Kitty. So that's the section I have completed lately, was the Kitty section. And so let me try to get some of these yarn ends out of the way. So Anya promises we will never see these again once we get to the border. All these yarn ends will be hidden by the border. So I don't know if I can go back. I'm not sure, did I mark? I don't think I marked it. But from this marker here, this purple marker, back 30 rows is the kitty section. So I'm going to assume I've got the whole kitty section showing. I don't know for sure. And I don't know if you can hear me through the blanket. I was having trouble with sound last time. So, but I think this is the kitty section. That's why I'm going to go ahead and put a picture to show when I took it outside, when it was just to the point of the end of the kitty section, so you could see the whole blanket in its entirety. And then, since I took that picture, I have done the first 5 rows of the Lydia section, which is the final section of the length of the blanket. So I've got 1, 2, let's see. Yeah. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So row 121, 122, 123, 124, 125. And then I've started 126 right here. So these first 5 rows are the beginning of Lydia, and that'll be 30 rows. And once Lydia is finished, I'll be able to do the border. and see how all of these many yarn ends are going to be covered up. So I'm looking forward to that. And so that's the state of Lizzie at this point in time. So the other reason I evicted Lizzie was because I needed this Grand Canyon bag for the, let's see if I can get it out here, the Grand Canyon beanie. And this is a pattern by Rich Textures Crochet, and boy is it richly textured. So I got this start on it. I'll try to put a picture of what it looks like in the pattern here, and I will include the link to the pattern. It's a free pattern on her blog. And so what I did, so this is how far I am, and as you can see, it's different textures. Let's see if I can put it up there. And I counted 7 sections in this beanie, so I chose 5 colors because this band right here that's variegated, I'm just going to repeat that same color, and that color is called Painted Desert, which is also in Arizona along with the Grand Canyon. So the reason I started this is K&K Crochet. They are doing a they have an organization called Bumblebees Mountain Rescue, and they are collecting hats they have a goal, I think, of 600 hats, and they distribute these to the community, to people in need, in various types of need. And I will link to their video about it, their announcement video about it, and so you can learn more of the whole story behind how this outreach came about and why they decided to pursue this outreach. It's a very very moving story, and I just enjoy their videos so much and everything. And they also have a goal to hopefully get a hat from every state and as many countries as possible. So far, the last time I looked, Arizona is not on the map. They've got a map, and they're putting bumblebee stickers on or bee stickers on each state that they have received a hat from, or anything, any kind of warm. It's not just hats. It can be any kind of garment, or I imagine even lap gowns or anything like that. But refer to the video to be sure, because I might be wrong about things. But anything, hats, mittens, scarves, anything that it would be helpful to people in the winter. So I thought, well, Arizona has to be represented, so I decided that's what I was going to do. So that's why I'm using the themes of Grand Canyon and Painted Desert. So far what I have, so what I did, I'll set this down, is I took my Grand Canyon bag and with the photo of the Grand Canyon that I love, and I tried to pull colors from this photo because I love the colors in this photo. So I decided to try to match some of the colors as best I can. And so I chose, so far what you're seeing here is this is all Red Heart Super Saver so far. And so warm brown, the brim is warm brown. Now there's not a lot of it, but the only other brown I had was in my leftover yarn was too dark, I thought, because I've been to the Grand Canyon many times, and the ground is more like this warm brown here, so that's why I chose that. And then I chose Painted Desert because it's complementary to all these colors in the photo, plus I love the Painted Desert too. And of course, there's a lot of red rock, or orange rock. And so I chose carrot here. And so now I just started the next round that's going to be a band just like this one of painted desert. So, and then the next section, which is going to be another texturized section like this one, I'm going to try Mystic Purple, which is not Red Heart Super Saver. It is Red Heart Symphony. And I'm not sure. This is very haloed. It might even be matted. This is something I was given. And so I had to even look up on, so it's a number 4 weight. I think if it doesn't say it on the label, yeah, it does. It's a number 4 weight along with Red Heart Super Saver. So I was hoping it was, but I like this. It's called Mystic Purple. So I like how it kind of catches when the farther out you look at the Grand Canyon, you get more of these purples and blues and things. And so I was I'm not trying to get a ground up view of the Grand Canyon. I'm trying to get a near distance to far distance look at the Grand Canyon in these colors. So this will be the next. I'm kind of worried about it because it's not at all the same type of yarn as Red Heart Super Saver, but I like the kind of mistiness of it, and so we shall see how that works. And then there'll be another band of painted desert, and then the top, the cap part of the hat, the very top of it, I'm going to use Red Heart Super Saver in blue suede. So it's kind of a medium blue, but I think especially here in this very last layer of the canyon, you can see here, I think it matches pretty well. And but yeah, once these shadows start showing up among the rock formations as you look at the Grand Canyon, you get more and more colors. And so I'm really hoping that this blue and the purple will kind of echo what I see in the picture. So I've been enjoying working on that. The texture stitches are quite, not the norm that I'm used to. But I love this brim. I don't know if you can see this. Let me show it close up again. But it looks a lot like knitting, and it's all slip stitch. This whole brim is slip stitch, and you work it, this way, and all the way around, and then you sew it together, sew the two ends together. Here I did that, and then you switch direction, so you're kind of going like this and making this long strip, and then you sew it together, and then you turn it this way and you start here with these stitches and you start going in the round. And so that's how it's going so far, and I am really loving this project. And in fact, I was going to make my next the next grandchild birthday is in September, and for that grandson I was going to make the child's or kid's fedora, I think it's called, and I might try it, but if I run into any trouble I might make another one of these, because I think he would like that too, and especially since it represents Nana in Arizona. So we'll see how that goes. I have not made a whole lot of progress on my cotton tee, or my cotton top that is knitted, and I'm doing this for I started this to participate in Connie, Just Another Stitch, in her weight loss challenge make along. And so far this is the back of the tee, and I'm making, the idea of this is to make a garment, you know, a more fitted garment than a shawl, you know, or socks. Well, socks have to be fitted, but generally when we lose weight, we're not losing a whole lot of weight in our feet, although some of us do, because I sure did. And it depends on how much weight you have to lose, maybe, I don't know. But my feet are pretty bony now. And so this is, let's see, I don't want to show the chart, but I do want to show the picture. So this is the top I'm making. Let's see if we can get close enough to show some of that texture detail. And I'm sitting, my little row counter tells me I'm sitting at 30 rows. After the bottom ribbing, I've worked 30 rows of the back of this t-shirt. So, and this is showing up kind of blue, but it's actually a mint green color, and I'm using 100% cotton yarn mainstays, which says that it's a 4-weight, yeah, but it looks more like a 3-weight. It's a very light 4-weight, let's put it that way. So I'm hoping it'll work, and I'm at a, maybe if I look at my cards, I haven't been telling hook sizes, and but let's see if I got that. I think I have that information. The Grand Canyon beanie is with an H hook, 5.5 millimeters, and the octopus hat, I'm using an I hook, which is, no wait, they can't both be 5.5. Maybe H is 5.0 and I marked it wrong, because I've got I as 5.5. I'm going to have to investigate that and correct that. Lizzie is with an H, and that one says 5 millimeters on the Lizzie card, so I'm guessing it's a 5 millimeter. And for the cotton tee, I'm using US 6 knitting needles, and those are 4 millimeter, and that is from my beautiful purple anniversary interchangeable needles set from Knit Picks that I love. So anyway, let's hope that's all correct. And I am finding, because I was having trouble with this, it's a lot harder than I thought it would be to keep track of the stitch changes in this pattern. And the chart is not the greatest as far as it's small, and thank goodness it's only 42 rows, and then you start repeating after that, I guess. And I was using lots of these to keep track of where, you know, these little sticky tabs to keep track of where I was on the chart. And I would have to, since they're short, I would have to move them constantly, and I was having all kinds of troubles. And then when I was getting out some of my cross stitch stuff, I remembered, oh yeah, I have a magnet board and an easel for that. Actually, this easel was for knitting patterns. It's called Prophet, and I think I got it at Knit Picks, and years ago. And but yeah, it opens up like this, like an easel, and you can fold these up to hold bigger charts. And then it comes with a magnet board, but I didn't really like the magnet board all that much. It's kind of cardboardy, and even though these magnets do stick, I don't know, it just didn't feel as substantial as this magnet board that I believe I got at Hirschner's. And so I have all these magnets, you know, including this this one here, that I think it had a magnet ruler. Yeah, it had a magnet, or not a magnet, a magnifier on it at one point, but I guess that part came loose or something. So anyway, so I can, with all these different magnets, I can do the chart and do the magnets all the way across, so I don't have to keep moving those little sticky tabs. And so I'm anxious to do, you know, my next time of knitting with these instead of what I've been doing, which was really laborious, having to stop every, 10 stitches or so to try to move my markers and make sure I didn't lose my place and all that. So that's where I am on that. And I'm gonna plan on so I'm not working on that one as much. I'm working mainly on the octopus hat, the Lizzie blanket, and now the Grand Canyon beanie, and at home, because I think all of those are digital patterns so I just put my pattern on the laptop and just work from the pattern that way. But the cotton top, this one is a paper pattern with the chart and everything. So I have kitted up a bag to take with me to knitting group, and take that as my project for knitting group. And so in fact it was one of the other ladies using her magnet board that I'm like, wait, don't I have one of those? I'm like, that's so much smarter. I could have been doing it that way this whole time and didn't even think of it. So thank you to Teresa for having that. And the last thing I have going on, and I didn't bring my bag, but anyway, what's living in my little unicorn mini backpack here is my Plarn project. And I have, my whole plan was every time after shopping day, when I get home, after putting away all the groceries and everything, to go ahead and, get all the bags and make all the Plarn out of the bags that very night, which is usually Friday night. I go shopping on Fridays. So, and then, have a whole new ball of Plarn to work with. Well, that's what I didn't bring over here, was my big bag of all the bags from last Friday, and I need to get that done. But in the meantime, with the previous that I had, I started making this, which you can't tell at all what it is at this point in time. Let's see now, how was I? Okay, I'm gonna undo this. I kind of have it anchored with a stitch marker, and so anyway, I have started a third row here. What I'm doing, and I will put the picture of the front of the pattern book over here, and the pattern book is called Filet Fantasy, or Fantasy Filet. I can't remember which way it goes. And this is destined to become a unicorn, a giant unicorn, as you can see. And I can see right away that it's going to be very large. Here's where I started with row 1, and then row 2 here, and then row 2 goes back, all the way back, all the way and then row 2 stops here. It doesn't go to the end of row 1. It stops here, and then you slip stitch back to start row 3. And so this is where I ran out of Plarn. And I don't even know. I haven't even measured this. The only thing I can think of, anyway, the only thing I can think of that this could be used for is maybe a floor mat on the deck outside. But it might even be too big for that. I don't know. I think it doesn't tell you in the pattern, but I'm guessing I'm starting in the middle. But I don't know. And the other thing I thought of because I just kind of mixed up all the colors of the bags. I didn't separate them by color. And so it's all different colors. So I'm not even sure it'll look like anything when it's done. But I'm consoling myself with the fact that I am getting good experience crocheting with Plarn. And so I don't know how easy it is to tear out, but if it's hard to if I decide this whole thing is not going to work, this whole idea of the unicorn, then I can either tear it out, and it tells you to mark this stitch, by the way, here. That's why I think it's in the middle, and you're going to attach something else off of this end, off of this side. But if I have to if I decide to tear it out, I can either, if it comes out, if it unravels well enough to maintain the integrity of the Plarn. This is, if I didn't mention this and before, and if you're not familiar with what Plarn is, it's just yarn made out of plastic bags, usually grocery bags. And so I'm going to anchor my stitch there to that stitch marker, and this is what it is. And but anyway, if I try to tear it out and it just all goes, tears up the Plarn itself, then these were plastic bags destined for the trash anyway, so it won't be a big loss, and I'll have the experience of learning to work with Plarn. And I am using an L hook, which is an 8mm. So that seemed to be the most comfortable to work with the size of Plarn that I made. So I'm going to, and that's why it's so huge, because the pattern itself is for size 10 crochet thread. So it's really not a very good application of the pattern to try to use it on some. So I may change course. I may decide, nah, if I'm going to make a unicorn, I want to make it all white or gray or, all one color. And so I might just give up on what I've got going so far and change course. It's always my prerogative. So it happens quite often. And so that's what I've got going on. Another project I have going, I didn't bring anything to show for it because I haven't gotten that far, but I am decluttering a lot of clothes that my children have left behind, that they that are smaller. They don't wear those. They're grown-ups, so they don't wear the smaller sizes anymore, the kid sizes. So I'm cleaning out closets, and I am setting aside different things, like I have a donate bag for clothes that are intact and not stained, and and I have a lot of clothes to donate because I've lost almost 300 pounds, and so the ones that are in good shape will go into the donate bag and be donated. But sometimes I come across things that have holes or stains or something like that, and so I'm setting those aside. And if they are cotton knit, I have a lot of old nightgowns that are cotton knit, and the kids' t-shirts and undershirts and things like that. I'm going to turn those into t-shirt yarn, and there are tutorials on YouTube that I found, and I watch them and then I forget, and it's like wait, how did I do that? So I realize what I have to do is bring a basket of all these garments that are ready to be turned into t-shirt yarn, watch the tutorial and do it while I'm watching the tutorial until I memorize how to do it, like I did with the Plarn, and make some balls of t-shirt yarn. And what I want to make with that is a Moses basket for this baby doll that I got, a life-size, newborn size doll that I want to use as a model for when I'm making baby clothes, to make sure I'm making the right size and I'm getting the right gauge and all that. And just because I like dolls. So, and I would like to make dolls doll clothes from my baby doll too. So, but the first thing is I want her to have a basket. I want her to have a place to stay when I'm not working on something with her. And so I want to make a pretty Moses basket, and I found some really neat patterns that use t-shirt yarn. And so we'll see. And I might have to use like a P or Q hook or something. The L might be too small. I don't know. And then for woven fabrics, garments with woven fabrics that aren't donatable, that I don't consider donatable, I'm going to turn those into also balls of yarn for rag crochet, for making baskets, seat covers, rugs, mats. There's a lot of things you can do with rag crochet. In fact, I have a cross stitch book or magazine, I can't remember which one it is, and it has like mats, like doormats for welcome, that you would have for a welcome mat in front of your front door, that is in kind of a waffle weave. I don't know if it's straw or hemp or whatever it is. And there are patterns in this book or magazine for cross stitching those, and it has like 4 different designs, and it uses strips of fabric for the yarn, or the thread or whatever you're cross stitching with. And I thought, well, I want to do that. I've seen mats like that I can buy, at the store. And if I shred up all my old clothes, tear them apart into strips, I can do those designs. So that's another recycling project I have going. So with the plarn and the t-shirt yarn, and now the rag crochet fabric strips, that's 3 recycling projects. And then for all denim materials like blue jeans, I'm going to cut those apart and I've watched tutorials for this too, to make a denim quilt. And probably I might end up with enough to make more than one denim quilt. And one that I really liked was a rag quilt with denim on one side and flannel shirts on the other side, is what she used. And it's a rag quilt because you make the seams on the top side and you clip the seam allowance, and it turns all kind of raggedy, and so it shows the flannel fabric as well as the denim fabric. It's really nice looking, and I imagine that is so warm and cozy with the flannel on the inside and the denim on the outside. And I haven't come across any flannel shirts yet, but I know there's some flannel sheets somewhere, but I think they're still in good shape, but we'll find out. But at the thrift store, I could probably find, that's the lady whose tutorial I watched, and I can't remember. I'm sorry, I probably won't be able to put a link to it, but if you look up, flannel and denim rag quilt, you might find it, or one like it. And so next time I go to the thrift store, I can look for flannel quilts or flannel shirts, and then have the materials to make a denim and flannel quilt like that. Let's see, there was one more thing about that. Anyway, so I'm excited about those upcoming things. And I know the thing with the jeans. Some of the tutorials I watched, they cut the seams off and the zippers, and they save those. They even use the seams and the zippers, and some of them use the sections of the jeans with pockets and put that whole piece of fabric with the pocket on the quilt itself, so you could put like a remote, the TV remote in there or something, I guess. I don't know, but it's decorative anyway. But she said, I didn't watch the video she referred to, but she said she uses the seams and weaves those into something else. So I'm going to try to find that again and find out what she does with the seams. But with the zippers, they're just, once you reclaim them, they're just like any zipper. And you, especially, well, the smaller jean zippers, you can make little pouches. You could crochet right onto the zipper and make a pouch for makeup or a notions bag or something like that. You could also use fabric to sew a small zippered pouch with. And so I'm trying to keep these things in mind as I'm decluttering. And once I determine something's not good enough to go for somebody else to be able to use it as a garment, what can I salvage from this old garment that can make something new? And so I'm so glad I watched these tutorials and got these ideas to save even the zippers and the seams, for example. And so I don't know when I'll get to these things. I kind of think the best thing to do is I like watching Dana K. White, and she wrote a book called Decluttering at the Speed of Life. And she has a YouTube channel. I'll link that in the description box. But, her philosophy is, once something is in your hand, put it away right away. You ask yourself the question, if I was looking for this item, where would I look first? So, and then you just immediately go put it away. Don't have multiple boxes and bags and sort everything. Don't pull everything out of a drawer or everything out of a closet. And then, if you get interrupted, you've got a bigger mess than you started with. So I like the idea of tackling things one at a time. And so, while I'm working in my closet, what I do is when I'm putting clean clothes away, I go and pull, I look at the older clothes, and so I put the newer clothes in front, and then once those are all put away, I look at the older clothes. Well, is this salvageable? Is it worth donating? Does it still fit me? Could it fit me if I took it in, or what? And I ask these questions. But if it's definitely something I'm not going to keep, so maybe that's the time when I should say, okay, well, this is destined for the t-shirt yarn. Maybe that's when I should pull up the t-shirt yarn tutorial and actually just turn it into t-shirt yarn right then. And then I know the t-shirt yarn goes in the craft room, and establish a basket specifically for t-shirt yarn. And so anyway, I'm excited about these upcoming ideas, and I hope I'll have something more to show you next time. But for now, that's it. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.